All right. We are live, I think, anyway. Are we live? I think we're live. You ever just have one of those days where nothing seems to go right? That's today.
Last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to This Week Unloaded. As usual, I'm your host, Rich White. And on the panel with me right now, we have Mr. Gizzard Gary. How are you tonight?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
See, out there in the chat, we have you and Moo and now Snob. So, even the two of y'all that have links but don't use them. We got to shame these guys, right?
Mm-hmm. And I shared you on my community tab, so there's no excuse for people not to get in here now.
That's right.
If they're awake.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scotsman was still going, so who knows? Some people might still be over there. There's Ozzy.
Ozzy's out there. There's Moo back in here.
Mm-hmm. Steelers almost blew the game in Dublin today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We might as well start out with sports and work our way into the serious topic.
Oh. The Royals ended their season on a winning note, defeating the Athletics and ending the season at 82-80, 2 games over 500. So I'll take that as a win.
See, if we talk about sports now, G Webbs isn't out there yet, so he doesn't have to complain when he jumps in later.
And the Chiefs looked like the Chiefs today for a change.
As he said, Scotsman just ended. And I'm guessing the Lions won the way Moo's acting.
Fairly handily. But the Chiefs looked good against the Ravens today, finally.
The Steelers looked good against the Vikings until the fourth quarter, where they almost blew the game. They're up 21-6, and the final score was a field goal difference.
And I know Obi's not out there, but if he was, he'd be happy to hear that the Bears outlasted the Raiders today. Raiders attempting a field goal to win the game, and it was blocked. So. I believe the Tigers and Guardians both lost today, which I believe makes Cleveland the division champion. Both teams qualified for the postseason, though, so it's okay.
And that is your Sunday night sports report, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it. I mean, we can go into great detail if you want to.
Nah.
I'm sure I could find some WNBA score.
They still God. Is that still going on? If the WNBA disappeared overnight, would anybody notice?
Don't think so. So starting Tuesday, for those who are interested in the MLB postseason, you have the Tigers facing off against the Guardians in the wild card. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun series. Padres and Cubs facing each other. Red Sox and the Yankees, and the Reds and the Dodgers.
Padres and Cubs. That's something you wouldn't expect to be saying in the postseason.
And so some interesting postseason matchups. The teams that got byes are the Blue Jays, the Mariners, the Phillies, and the Brewers. And Rotten Tooth Boomstick is out there.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to get into the serious topic now? Or?
It's your show.
Yeah, we're going to have to do it eventually.
There are some WNBA scores if you're interested.
I don't think anybody cares.
The Gun Snob says, "This is the first year I ever cared about the WNBA. I found watching the TikToks of items flying onto the court entertaining." There you go.
Yeah. And fans getting thrown out of arenas and, in one case, arrested for doing so.
Hell of it is, you really can't afford to throw fans out of WNBA arenas because there aren't that many in there to start with.
You throw out one fan, you just got rid of half your fan base.
I know. It's like they could play in high schools, literally, unless Caitlin Clark is playing.
You could fit a lot of people in my high school gym.
That'd be pretty bad if they played WNBA, played in a high school gym, and they couldn't fill it.
I don't know if they would have filled my high school gym. Honestly, I don't know if they would have.
I mean, outside of Caitlin Clark, how many WNBA players can you even name?
Who was the chick that had the value meal at McDonald's named after her? The one that is the other one that's been in the news lately. The one that's been bitching about they don't get paid enough. I can't remember her goddamn name. See, that's how important she is. I can't remember her damn name. The one that said that she has 1 billion fans.
Are you thinking of Angel Reese?
Yes. That's who I'm thinking of.
Well, I suggest we stop this because I can't think of any better way to lose an audience than to go into details about the WNBA right now.
Well, that's about all I know about the WNBA.
Unless we have a bunch of female fans out there that are heavily into basketball.
Boomstick says he can't name a WNBA team. You know what? I can't either. I don't know any of the damn. I can hardly name any NBA teams for that matter. Well, that's not true. I can name a few NBA teams.
Well, I can think of the Oklahoma City Thunder, but if DM Foss is out there, he'll hate me for even mentioning them. So, yeah, that is the former Seattle Supersonics.
Uh-huh.
I'm expecting a "I hate you" text out there. Cornhole championships, yeah. How about pickleball? Is there a professional pickleball league? There probably should be.
There might be somewhere. I'm sure. You got leagues for everything else.
Moose says basketball sucks.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of basketball.
How about tennis? Can you name any tennis players anymore? You remember when tennis was a big deal?
I couldn't name you a single tennis player right now. I can name you a former tennis player who's a big crybaby.
Which one?
Serena Williams. Didn't you see her tirade?
I don't pay any attention to Serena Williams.
No, everybody was posting it on X this week or yesterday. Apparently, she was in a hotel in New York City for something, and she walked out of her hotel room. I guess she didn't notice it the night before when she checked in, or she's just being a drama queen. Well, I'm going to go with the latter personally. Anyway, they had one of those cotton plant decorations in the hallway. And so she decides that she's going to pull a piece off and make a TikTok video defacing the hotel property and saying about how comfortable she is because there was a cotton plant in a vase in the hallway.
Well, she picked it, didn't she?
Yeah, she picked it. I
Wow.
mean, how ridiculous is that? I feel so uncomfortable because there's a cotton plant in the hallway. Oh, shut the hell up. Moose says Billie Jean King. You're a couple decades out of date there, Moo. Oh, more than a couple.
Anybody remember who Bobby Riggs was?
The guy who competed against her.
Yep. And lost.
Mm-hmm.
The Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah, but I don't think he was taking it very serious either.
Actually, I watched a documentary on that. And they, at least some people are saying that he was basically paid to throw that match.
That's a possibility too.
Because there was an awful lot of money voted on it in Vegas. A bet on it. Because he had, see, before he played Billie Jean King, he played who was the ranking champion at the time, Margaret Court, and beat her fairly handily. So there was some suspicion that there was hijinks going on. This is clear back in the 70s, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Took
Jacob
place
S.
in the Houston Astrodome. The eighth wonder of the world, remember?
Andre the Giant.
Jacob S. is out there.
Yep. Trying to figure out how to segue to the main topic of discussion today. For those of you who may not know this, Gizzard and I have had many off-air religious discussions. And
True.
mm-hmm. Gizzard being Catholic and me being Protestant. We've had some really interesting religious conversations. Why do I bring that up? Well, if anybody's seen the news today and a couple weeks ago, or even last week, and a couple weeks ago, a little over a month ago or so, going back a couple years even, more and more, it seems that religious institutions of a Christian persuasion in this country seem to be under attack. Is it just me? Are you getting that perception too? Or is it just me?
It's definitely a possibility.
For those of you who haven't seen the news today, in Moo's home state, a former Marine who apparently was suffering from some form of mental illness drove his truck into a Mormon church, and the number of people he shot is still up in the air, anywhere from somewhere around a dozen. 4 of which, at last count, have died from their wounds. Before he then set the church on fire. Some of you may have seen the pictures of this church completely up in flames, while there were still people in the building. Jacob's like, seriously? Yeah, it happened around 11 a.m. Eastern this morning. There were upwards of 150 people in there doing whatever Mormons do for their Sunday services. One witness said there was a little girl that was shot in the back by the guy. Somebody that lives near the church thought that there was a car that crashed and he was going out to see if they need any help, saw the guy with a rifle and ran back in his house. Or her house. I didn't see if they actually identified who the witness was. It was in Michigan. I forget the name of the little area. I can check. I got the story pulled. I got a bunch of the stories pulled up. Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. Let me do this here real quick. Yeah, see, right here. Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. It says sharing, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah.
Well, it is on Rumble Studio anyway. Okay, it is over on YouTube side too. I verified.
Okay. But yeah, at least 4 people have died so far. Multiple others are critically injured. And as of the last stories that were posted when I pulled this up, they still don't know exactly what the motive was yet. Or at least they're not saying what the motive may have been, which isn't out of the ordinary. But yeah, one witness here saying that they were shielding children with their bodies. And I would only assume you're talking about the adults. It's the police chief that said that they were shielding children and with their bodies and whatnot. There's the suspect's name. I'm not going to read it. If you want to know it, read it there. I'll give you a couple seconds and I'm moving down. That's it. I don't want to say this guy's name. Fuck him.
I would like to say that although we discussed our particular beliefs and stuff beforehand, it doesn't really matter in something like this what kind of church it was. Any attacks like this on any church are an abomination upon our society. There's no place for anything like this.
No.
And this is just horrible. Another attack on defenseless people.
Yeah.
By somebody who apparently drove his truck into the building, from what I understand.
Yes, he did. He drove his truck into the building. Multiple witnesses have stated that fact.
Even if he hadn't had a gun, all it would have took is a can of gasoline and a match, and he could have done some pretty bad. He is obviously dead set on violence. This is obvious, and I'll say it. I'll speak the obvious here. This isn't a gun problem. This is a person problem.
Yeah. And it didn't take long for the left to start calling for gun control as a result of this either. Within 15 minutes of the story breaking on X, there were people already posting that garbage. Not unlike when the Charlie Kirk situation. By the way, speaking of the Charlie Kirk situation, this isn't the first time this has happened in the past week, folks. Last Sunday, there was another church, I believe it was in Michigan, that was attacked too, but that one was stopped before anybody got hurt because one of the deacons saw the guy with the gun and ran him over with his car before he got a chance to do anything. That story kind of got buried underneath all the Charlie Kirk stories. Yeah, Moo brings up that they found 3 IEDs in the guy's truck too. So it's unclear whether I haven't seen any where they confirmed whether he was taken out by police. Initial reports where the police took him out. So that's entirely possible. If they did, that he may have other targets in mind besides just this church.
He was killed by police less than 10 minutes after the mass shooting. He's a U.S. Marine veteran who served in Iraq, age 40.
Vanessa Kitty right there in the chat.
No criminal record.
No, and he was a decorated Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Sup, dogs? I only said that because I knew Moo was out there and he'd appreciate that. What'd I miss?
Everything.
Oh, cool.
Have you seen the news today?
No.
A former Marine, and I say former because of what he did, drove his truck into a Mormon church in a small town in Michigan and shot multiple people, killing at this point 4 of them, and before burning the church down. He was shot and killed by police when they arrived on the scene.
Wow.
And he had 3 IEDs in his truck.
Be interesting to see if this fella left a manifesto or anything behind.
Evidently, Rob D's having a little trouble hearing out there.
Oh?
He said 3 IUDs. Are you absolutely sure he wasn't a she? I think it's IEDs, not IUDs.
Improvised explosive devices. And he used some type of rifle. They're not saying what. Though I did see one report where they said the dreaded assault rifle. So one of them scary black type. You thought what?
Well, I was gonna one where they said that, was that like an official release from law enforcement, or was that just like, you know, whatever news source just speculating? Because I remember when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, you know, that was one of the things that was, he used one of those area assault rifles. I'm like, how the frick do you know, for one? Like, this is still developing. and then it comes out, oh, it was a friggin' Mauser.
Oh, by the way, the 4 people so far, that's just the people that have been shot. They don't know how many people may have died in the fire yet.
And you said he went after Mormons?
Yeah, this was at a Mormon church.
Interesting.
A small area called Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. Moose says it's up near Flint.
Not usually a religious sect that you hear violence perpetrated against.
No. And according to one report, there were upwards of 150 people inside the church at the time. So, with that said, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the number of dead climbs as they go through the rubble of what's left of the church.
I feel like this should be fairly easy to figure out, like how many people that went to the church escaped. Then
Well,
they could at least have a rough estimate of what they're looking at.
Yeah, they found 2 bodies in the church so far, but the police chief also said that there are people that are unaccounted for.
Oh, and that's
Sunday night.
That's what I was getting to is, if you're estimating 150 and you're like, well, we can account for 137, then they can speculate they're looking at, approximately 13 deceased, for example. Or at least just say, hey, we have X amount unaccounted for at this time.
As of this evening, 7 victims were in stable condition and 1 is in critical condition. There is no apparent connection between this guy and the congregation of the church. They've released that.
So another monster that wanted to go down in infamy.
Who knows? Like I've said, if he had 3 IEDs in the truck, this may not have been his only target. If the police wouldn't have got there when they did and took him out before he could leave the scene, what else would have happened?
Another thing is, like, are they bringing in dogs and kind of just sniffing the town at this point? 'Cause I'd be worried that, did he just toss stuff out the window as he was going?
Well,
not necessarily out the window, because but you know what I mean.
Crashed
Like
his vehicle into the church, then set it on fire because he had a can of gas. From what I've read,
perhaps he was just planning on
started a
those
fire
going
in
off.
the building and then shot people as they were trying to escape.
Trying to see if I can find where they said what type the assault rifle thing, but it must have been on a different thing because I didn't see it when I was going through the Fox.
The only thing I read was he was sporting what was described as an assault type rifle. That was the quote. That was from the Detroit Free Press.
Yeah, the quote I saw just called it an assault rifle. So,
of course.
Yeah.
And if there are any facts, they're not. I mean, the FBI has been called in on this. It's
Oh
going to
yeah, the
take a
FBI is
while
already
for the
on it.
facts to come out. Don't expect stuff right away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ATF, FBI, state and local authorities are all working on this together already.
He ran the vehicle through the front door, exited, and started firing shots. Wow. But another story I read said that he had gasoline with him and he started a fire in the church, which is a total loss. So,
Yeah. Fox is just saying that it's a rifle.
to be real, most of the eyewitnesses, lay people, wouldn't know the difference between one rifle and another anyway.
No.
That's just fact. That's not slamming anybody. It's just if you're not real well versed in this stuff, you're not going to know from a
Yeah.
distance one versus another.
Even people that are well versed may notice that he has a rifle, but not what type. In a situation like this where adrenaline's pumping, and you're just trying to get out of there. You know what I mean? You're not going to stand there and inspect what the shooter's using. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. 1,000,000%.
I mean, if I see somebody 20 or 30 yards away with a rifle shooting people, I'm not going to be saying, has he got a carbine or is that a modern sporting rifle? Exactly. What kind of scope does he have on? That's going to be the last of my worries.
5.56 or 300 blackout? No. You're going to be wanting to get the hell out of Dodge.
We should leave now.
Mm-hmm. Not to make light of the situation in any way, shape, or form, folks. That's not what we're trying to do.
No, that's just a fact. It's a heat of the moment, and you've got eyewitnesses that are frazzled, probably saw him for maybe a second, and then their entire life went up in smoke. And I didn't mean that as a pun at all. But, you know, to get any kind of reliable description from eyewitnesses like that, it's just not going to happen. It's going to take an investigation.
Well, it's been studied and all kinds of stuff. Eyewitness testimony is extremely unreliable, and that can be in much less stressful circumstances. You know, it could be like, did you see that guy jaywalk? And the person would be like, yep. And meanwhile, the person wasn't jaywalking at all. They were perfectly legal. But
right. And it may not even, it's not particularly the person who's the witness's fault either, because you got people that remember different things differently than somebody else remembered, simply because people's memories work different. Somebody might be colorblind. They may think a certain person was wearing this color shirt where somebody else will say it was another color shirt because one's colorblind and one isn't. That's why you have to have corroborating witnesses. If you actually go to a courthouse, don't watch on TV. If you want to see how murder trials and stuff like that actually work, go to your local courthouse, sit in the gallery, and see how this works. Because, like Barbecue was saying, eyewitnesses are notoriously inaccurate, which is why they have a list of people that come in and witness things.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect example of where they got it right about that in a movie was My Cousin Vinny when he's cross-examining the old black lady with the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And he has her take the glasses off, and then she can't see how many fingers he has up at a distance. As she said, she saw the killers with her glasses off the night that it happened. Why? Because she couldn't see.
Just to kind of bring this around to two-way, this is why if you ever find yourself in a self-defense situation, you don't make statements. Because if you're like, oh yeah, sir, this happened, they did this, you could feel like you're 1,000,000% in the right. But then you're like, I fired 3 shots, and they went down, blah blah blah. But then they're like, oh well, we have 8 shell casings from your firearm, and all of a sudden you're hemmed up because you made a statement that wasn't true. Now, with the way you remember that situation, and you would be a very key eyewitness, but that statement that wasn't true could really get your ass in a sling.
There's a reason why you have a right to remain silent and have an attorney present
Mm-hmm.
for questioning.
There's only ever been one time in my life where I exercised that right. Well, where I needed to, even I should say. But if I would have talked at all, yeah, because I knew the situation I was in was not a good one, just by the optics of it. And when law enforcement arrived, they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, well, guys, I would love to talk to you, but a long time ago when I worked corrections, there was a defense attorney that was in to speak to his client. I was like, and he was having what I could only describe as a bad day. And I was like, so he started kind of ranting to me while we were down in booking, and he was waiting for his client to come down, and he said, damn it, these guys will never learn. It doesn't matter what the hell you say. You can never talk the police out of taking you to jail, but you sure as hell can talk them into taking you every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
So,
fact of the matter is, if they're going to arrest you, they're going to arrest you.
yeah.
There's not a thing you can say to change that. But if they're like, you know what, I think this person was all in all, 100% clear, blah, 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 but takes just one wrong statement from you, and now all of a sudden you're suspect numero uno. And I would like to say that situation where I said nothing, all charges against me were dropped because the officer's like, I've got nothing. But the fact that any charges were brought against me were crap. But then they were like, yeah, we got nothing. It was just, you know, uh, to appease the other party to put the charges still. But again, like I said, I realized what the optics were, things like that. And I was just like, nope, sorry, guys. And luckily, I had 2 amazing state police officers that I was dealing with. But one wrong statement, and I could have just put my ass in a terrible sling, because what you perceive, what the other party perceives, and then what the law enforcement has to hash out makes it really, really tough. And yeah, kind of talking in circles here, but just really trying to drive home the point. Shut the frig up.
Yep. You'll never talk yourself out of being arrested, but you can sure as hell talk your way into it.
Mm-hmm. When I said that to the 2 state police officers, they laughed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. How do we stop this? we know gun control is not going to do anything because all that's going to do is make laws that people aren't going to obey anyway.
You have to get people to value human life again. How do you do that? I don't know. But I think as a whole, people just don't value human life anymore. The only lives they value are their own, that they're so wrapped up in, and a few loved ones.
This guy is a Iraq veteran. I'm waiting to see if they try and, or if it comes out that he was suffering from PTSD and had a psychotic break of some kind too. Because that could be a possibility. Remember the guy that blew up the Tesla? He was, I believe he was in the Marines and was one of the War on Terror wars veteran.
From what I'm reading, he had a son that was born with a rare genetic disorder about 10 years ago or so, and has went through quite a few medical things, so he had to take an awful lot of time off work, and the family suffered quite a bit of a financial toll. And I'm not sure why that would have anything to do with this, but
his mental state. All that kind of stuff can put pressure, and if he's already suffering something like PTSD or something along those lines, it can lead to a psychotic break and whatnot. He could have had a pre-existing mental condition already that was never diagnosed, and all that kind of stuff. Just pressure to. That's the word I'm looking for. Stress, anxiety, of all that piling up on top of each other, and next thing you know, something inside just goes, and something like this is the result. Can be the result.
and
Or
of
like we
course
said, he
they're
might just be
already
simply an evil fuck.
they're already associating this guy. They said that he had Trump stickers on his house and political signs, and he did have what the vehicle he drove into the church was a Chevy Silverado with two big American flags
Mm-hmm.
sticking out of the bed.
Oh
So,
yeah, that they were showing the pictures of it.
avid hunter, supposedly.
Anyway, anything we have now is just speculation because again,
Yeah, it is.
we don't know everything. Obviously, it's still too
No,
early.
we don't, and we're not detectives of any sort. We're just trying to get as much information as we can to people who are watching and stuff. But more stuff's gonna come out. But yeah, we can sit here and talk about stuff like this, but as far as what you could do to keep it from happening, not sure you can.
Armed guards in churches.
How you gonna? Yeah, but armed guards at the street to keep. What are you gonna do? Put moats around so they can't drive a vehicle through the wall? Because
Concrete barriers that are disguised as plant holders, tree holders.
is that the kind of society we want to have? Wow.
They've been
I
doing
don't
that.
think. Go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say they've been doing that in cities for a while now. Pittsburgh had them. every so often there's a concrete planter that's there. It looks like it's there for decoration, but it's actually to keep cars off the sidewalk.
Could you imagine that in small town America around your community churches and stuff
Well,
like that?
you design them to where it doesn't actually look like a barricade until it's actually needed to be a barricade.
Yeah, like I've seen what Rich is talking about. Um, Sometimes it's just very large planters that are almost like troughs in front of a building. Other times, they're very large round ones. Um, and they do look very nice and decorative, especially when the city upkeeps them and actually has stuff planted in them, or not even necessarily the city. Like I'm sure there's plenty of community organizations that would be more than happy to go and plant things in those. I mean, remember a couple of years ago before my daughter's Girl Scout troop disbanded because they didn't have enough members anymore. But they had gone into our local city and they were planting flowers. So things like Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops. That's a community service badge they can get, things like that. Um, but at the same time, uh, like fine, you can do that, but let's stop and think. Like how many times does an atrocity like this happen with a vehicle? It's no different than when one of these atrocities happens with some asshole with a firearm that didn't use a vehicle. Um, Evil's evil, and we can try and put as many safety barriers in place as we would like, but at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own safety. We need to take away a stigma of one, just firearms in society in general, but two, like in this case, well, hell, in a lot of states, it's still illegal to carry firearm in a church. Get rid of that. These assholes look for soft targets. Period. They don't want people that are going to fight back. After the things happened down in Texas, where Stephen Williford had stopped that one dickwad down there. There were some things that changed in Texas, and there was another atrocity that had gone to happen at a church down there. Just using the churches as the example right now, because given the current situation, but that church had said, "Hey, we've got X amount of people that we trust to carry firearms. We'd really like to have you guys as like our security detail." And if I remember correctly, like one of the guys or whoever it was knew which ones were carrying or something, because he had gone in and like killed the one almost immediately, but then a couple other guys that were still carrying dispatched that guy very effectively. That's one of the reasons 357 SIG had a resurgence there for a little bit. So I think we could put up as many cement barriers, planters and troughs and all that stuff that we want. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants to carry out evil, they're going to carry out evil. It's no different than when I work corrections. Those guys have all the time in the world to think about how to commit the next crime that they're going to do in that system. When evil wants to be carried out, these people have plenty of time to think about it and figure out exactly what they want to do. Unfortunately, doesn't matter how many barriers, and I'm not talking about cement barriers or anything, but just barriers of supposed safety that we try and put in place, they're all an illusion. Because somebody's going to get around them. Somebody's going to do something heinous. At the end of the day, we've got to be responsible for our own safety. We got to somehow figure out how we get people to care about other people again and value human life.
Denny.
Sorry, I kind of DJ'd us, sir.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fine. Denny's plant-based journeys out there, even to you, sir. He said after 10 minutes at his church, they lock all the doors and have someone armed in the back of the foyer where the 2 doors are, and he sits armed at the front of the building.
See, I like that they're taking some initiative with, like, hey, we want, in case anything ever happened, like, we've got people set up here to take care of this. But the idea that you're locking everybody in there,
The way he's wording it, I'm thinking they might have those doors where you can't open it from the outside, but you can from the inside.
That's what I was kind of thinking, but still, I don't know.
Rob says, we can't stop crazy, but we can prepare to put issues down ASAP. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some way to mitigate, I guess you could say, these kinds of situations, which is why when Gary brought up about people with cars, I mean, it's not the first time we've seen somebody with a car attack before.
No.
It's one way that some places curb that is doing the barriers that are disguised as something else, which is what I brought up.
Yep.
One way you can do that is by having armed security, armed video cameras, have a security office where somebody's viewing what's going on around outside the building. But all that takes money too, and some of these church congregations may not have the money to do this on their own either. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration with this stuff. And Denny says exactly, and there are multiple exits around the building, front and back. So I'm guessing he's saying exactly about the doors where you can't open it from the outside, but you can from the inside.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much fire code. You have to have emergency exits.
He said the church that he goes to is located in a rough part of the town.
Interesting.
He said there's multiple entrances so that they can, if an attack comes from one entrance, they can get out another one. Well, it's basically what they were doing in this church. He came in one set of doors and people were going through the back trying to get out while the building's on fire through one of the other exits. One guy said he went out the front door, turned around, and went back into the church, even though it was on fire, because he wasn't taking the chance of him or his family getting shot. And they ended up getting out one of the other egress points of the church. Yeah, if there's moments of silence, folks, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this and figure out what where to go from here, because it just seems like it's getting crazier and crazier out there.
So I just had a ridiculous thought, but at the same time, given the things that happened today, it doesn't seem that ridiculous. We have hotlines for everything, which perhaps if this person would have dialed 988 for the self-deletion hotline, perhaps that could have helped. But what if we had a hotline where it's like, hey, I'm having these thoughts where I'm going to go out and commit an atrocity. I need help. Like I realize that sounds a little absurd, but like, what if there was such a hotline where people that are having these kinds of thoughts could call and be like, I need help, and there's a blanket of safety there for them, I guess you could say, where they get mental resources, all that fun jazz. The legal matters aren't tied up into it, as far as, like, oh, well, we're going to charge you with a felony now or something,
Then he says that they have limited resources. It's a small, older congregation. If it is going to happen, it will be primarily up to him to stop it. Small, not much incentive to attack us, no money.
But I mean, there wasn't any incentive to attack this church today either.
Yeah, and
It wasn't a money thing.
No, and it was a small congregation. 150 people is not a large church.
It would be around here.
Yeah,
We live in a super small town.
Even in my area, I think that'd be a pretty decent sized church. We've got a lot of small ones. It's the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head in like the Meadville area is like the one big Catholic church. They probably pack in, 150 plus.
I mean, we could fit that many in, but it's going to be a funeral or something like that, or Easter or something, if you're going to have that kind of crowd. So,
Yeah.
hate to say it, but it's true.
Well, the area in question, it's suburban Flint, Michigan, 50 miles away from Detroit. 150 people's not that big for that area. If you stop and think about it. The church that we went to in Pittsburgh when lived there when I was a kid, it was considered a small church, and we had a congregation of 200. There were churches in the area that had over 1,000. I guess it depends on the area you're at, whether it be small or medium or large, depending on your area. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I posted on X earlier when in the 80s when I was a teenager. If somebody would have got up in front of a church congregation and said that they needed to have armed guards for the protection of that church, they would have got all kinds of odd looks from the congregation. Nobody would have thought that, right?
Well, so I think part of the issue is with religion itself. Like, it's supposed to be a place of worship, no violence, things like that. But unfortunately, evil will come to you. You don't have to just be at home or something. Like, it's gonna go where it wants to. And I think the idea of for churches, again, since we're discussing this specific atrocity, like they've got to get rid of that old thought process and realize, like, hey, there's bad people out there that wish to do harm to people like us, and we have to be prepared to handle such.
Yeah. Well, that was the point of my post, because I continued about how I said something like, then today happens. Now we need armed guards. It's crazy. Talking less than 40 years difference, how much the world has changed. Nobody back in the 80s would have thought that somebody would do something at a church like this, let alone multiple times in 1 year where we've had attacks at churches.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to last year, you want to go all the way back to the Nashville shooting at the Christian school in Nashville.
Well, I mean, then you could go back to the jerkwad in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Or
no, remember one of the motives,
the jerkwad that Stephen Williford engaged.
Yeah, I know. I was,
like,
and within the last month, you had the Catholic school situation in Minnesota. Charlie Kirk, yeah, one of the reasons he was shot was because of his Christian message. You had a one last weekend that didn't make the national news really, because in Michigan, because of the Charlie Kirk situation. And now today, that's 4 that I can think of off the top of my head in this country within a month.
I think another thing is we need to we need to be able to have open discussion. People can't handle opposing views these days. I try and have discussion, especially with opposing views, all the time. Because I want to know how their brain works, what their thought process is, how do they view, the subject that we're talking about. And too many times today, it's ironic that that I'm going on this one, but because I, being a smartass, came into this not knowing anything that was being discussed or anything, and marked my name as here to argue. But anytime that you have a opposing view with somebody, a lot of times they take it as you're trying to argue, and it's like, no, I'm just trying to have an open discussion. And they can't handle it. And part of that is people don't think for themselves. They see what they see on the news, they see what they see on YouTube, they see what they see on TikTok, or whatever the hell else, and they go, "Yup, I like what that person said." And what's worse is they'll go and regurgitate it and have never put any thought of their own into it. So then that's where the problem comes in when you do try and have open discussion, because you ask them any questions about a statement that they just made, like, maybe they saw a TikTok video where they thought, oh, I like that snarky point that person made. I'm going to regurgitate it now. And then when you ask them, they can't articulate their point. They can't defend it or anything else because they just heard it and went, I like that. But they didn't think about why they like that or did it make sense the whole way around. I think that's another huge issue is people can't tolerate other people's viewpoints now.
Yeah. Oh, perfect example of what you were just talking about. Me and this trans advocate, we were taking shots at each other on Twitter. Nothing mean or anything like that. Just little jabs, you know what I mean? And finally, we both came to a decision that we were going to have a serious discussion. We had a really good discussion for as much as you can have a discussion with a 250 word maximum post or 250 character maximum post.
Right.
But we had a really good, serious discussion and we came to some common ground.
Which is phenomenal.
And it's an anomaly.
Unfortunately, today it is.
Yeah.
I really don't like to, because like the statement I just made, unfortunately today it is. I don't like to make broad generalizations like that, but as a whole, with the majority of the conversations that I have with persons of opposing views, it doesn't happen. I've got people that I've known since kindergarten that I would have called good acquaintances, loose friends, whatever. That they'll post something on Facebook, for example, and I'll be like, blah blah blah. And again, just starting some dialogue. Like if you're going to put it out there for the world to see, like, I'm able to comment on it. And the amount of people that have just not talking to you ever again, block. I'm like, whatever. Like at that point, I realize I'm just weeding out, small-minded people that can't articulate and think for themselves. But it at the same time, it's kind of a shame the amount of people, like I said, that have just, I'm not doing this anymore, or whatever the hell they decide to say, and just block you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why? Like, this is just a conversation, and you get all butthurt because I asked some questions. Like,
like Wood said, too much ad hominem.
yes.
For those that don't know what that is, that's a logic fallacy. It means against the person or against the speaker. That's where you go into personal attacks against somebody. Instead of answering a question or coming back with an actual counter to somebody, you just start attacking the person that said whatever.
You mean like when we say Rich was wrong?
Yes.
But
that is not an ad hominem. That is the truth.
You try discussing or having debates with Muslims enough, and you'll find out all about ad hominem. That's their strategy. If they can't counter somebody's point they will launch right into ad hominems like clockwork. I mean, you can see it coming before it even happens. Like if you go on any of the debate channels on YouTube where there's a Christian or a Jewish guy or even an atheist and they're debating a Muslim, it doesn't matter what topic, you can see it coming a mile away because you can read it in their face because they're like a deer in the headlights, and then they get angry, and then all of a sudden here come the ad hominems.
Well, that's where the issue comes in when they, and when I say they, I just mean people in general.
Right.
I
was just using that as one example.
I realize. I just making sure, like, I don't want people thinking like I'm just talking about people that have opposing views from me, or because it can be people that have like-minded views as me, but I could listen to them in a debate and be like, oh yeah, they just heard some friggin' talking point, but they've never thought about this, and now they've got their ass in a sling because they've got somebody that has put some thought into their views on the other side. And so, and that's why I say like they, because it happens with both sides. But where again, they don't think for themselves. So when that little nugget where they're like, I like that. Well, that's great, but you know, they didn't do all the thinking for you. So if you're gonna sit there and repeat it like you're an authority, you've got to have your own thoughts because people don't get to think for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, people do get to think for you if you let them, but that's a scary fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, groupthink. It's a hive mind group. I mean, however
like,
you want to determine I can't talk. Whatever terminology you want to use, it exists, and it's dangerous.
Like one of the things that I really try and do, especially when talking about matters like this or something, is like earlier tonight, Rich. I think you said it was short before I jumped in here because I had it pulled up on the YouTubes, but you had said the left or Democrats or something were immediately calling for gun control, but I stopped saying left or right or Democrats or Republicans or liberals or conservatives or anything like that. I just say anti-gunners because they exist on both sides.
Well, in the case I was talking about, it actually was a Democrat.
Well, and I realize, like, because people will be like, yeah, but 95% of the anti-gunners are. I get that, but I choose to say anti-gunners because then you're still leaving out a 5% and ignoring them. And to me, that 5% is really the poison pill. I'd rather have a defined enemy that I know than a snake in the grass that I thought was on my side. I don't know how many times I've told people, like, I would rather vote for the Democrat that I know is anti-gun than, and this was case in point when Pat Toomey had retired and what's his face was running against Mehmet Oz, and
Fetterman.
Yeah, Fetterman. Thank you. I was like, I think I'd rather vote for Fetterman. At least I know he's going to be anti-gun.
But is he? Have you seen statements that Fetterman has been making lately?
I still stand by that stroke he had. He's not all there. So while it would be nice to...
honestly, I think it's the opposite. I think he wasn't all there during the campaign because of the stroke, but he's been healing and getting better, and he's starting to get back into his right mind. Because some of the things he's been saying, he's been... if you look at what some of the other Democrats, yes, I'm specifically speaking about the Democrats in Congress and Senate.
Yeah.
Right now, have been saying,
now we're talking
Fetterman's been the one bright spot when it's come to the Charlie Kirk thing. If you look at all the
Oh
Democrats.
yeah, no, I've seen a couple of things that he said on that.
I mean, it's if this would have happened during the campaign, would he have been saying the same stuff?
It's hard telling. I would like to think yes, but um, because at that point, like a lot of the stuff he's been saying on the Charlie Kirk stuff's just like, oh yeah, like you're a decent human. No, I'm not saying like he's saying that about Charlie Kirk, but like the things he's saying, it shows like, oh yeah, you're a decent human, Fetterman. Good job. Um, but yeah, and like some of the other things, I really try and make a point of saying or not saying, like shooter. I do not use the term shooter. Period. I'll say killer, murderer, assassin. Whatever the hell they were, because at the end of the day, that's what they were. Um, you know, if we keep using the term shooter, that puts the onus on the firearm. It puts the onus on the action. It doesn't put it on the person. It sounds like it puts it on the person, but it doesn't, because people hear shooter and they go, "Oh, guns." But if you
Well, that
say
vilifies.
killer or murderer, then it goes, "Oh, this is a bad person."
It goes beyond that. Shooter vilifies everybody that owns firearms because we're all shooters.
Exactly. So, like I said, that's why I've made a point to not use that term. I try not to say assault weapon. One, like it just feels dirty to say, but two, um, it just buys into the anti-gunner narrative. And if we keep using their terms, they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to change the narrative.
Yeah. One of the rules for radicals, Saul Alinsky, one of the things he says is you got to control the language.
Yes.
That's the Democrats' playbook. You want to know what the Democrats and the left are doing? Pick up Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals, and it'll blow your mind. Everything that's in that book is what they do. If you want something done, accuse your opponent of doing exactly that while you're the one that's actually doing it. Sound familiar?
Yep.
Mr. Bob's out there trying to sound smart by speaking it in Latin.
Speaking of what?
Latin.
Oh, hey, if he can actually speak Latin, he is smart, because that's more than I can do.
We got rid of the big mouth cat, and now somebody else wants to take his place.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went to a new home today. He wasn't that old either. I don't even know I don't even think he was a year old. Maybe been a little over a year. But yeah, Blue went to a new home.
Nice.
Yeah, some old lady had a Russian blue cat that passed away, and he was like a Russian blue tabby kind of coloration. And Amy showed her a picture of him, and she fell in love. So he went to her house today.
Awesome.
I guess we can change subjects. We've been
Uh,
discussing this for going on an hour now. I mean, unless you guys have something else you want to add, Gary. I mean, you've been pretty quiet. You got anything you want to add?
Well, I don't know much about history. I don't know much biology.
I'm glad you stopped there.
I don't know much about the science book.
Don't know
I
much
don't
about
know
the
much
French
about the
people.
French I took.
I was waiting for him to be like, fucking barbecue used all the words.
Speaking of X, my account blew up over the last 48 hours.
Yeah?
I went from like 450 or so followers to over 1,500.
And you still can't break 500 on the YouTubes.
No. Getting closer to 430, 429.
There you go.
1,500 followers. What do you got to do to get followers on X? Wow. Get into a fight with somebody? Wow.
I don't know. I don't know what I did. I was at 400 and some, and all of a sudden, the last 2 days, just
I think
follower after follower
I have
after
425 followers on X. I need to get into a fight with you. Maybe I could get some of your followers.
Tell them that you converted to Muslim.
Oh, God. I'm at 1,506 right now.
You need to start promoting your YouTube channel on that X.
Yeah, you would think. Makes sense.
It's
Parlay
in my
one to the
bio.
other.
I got 6
Stream.
people watching. Says
Stream
there's-
it to X.
I do stream on
He
there.
is streaming into X.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
X, Rumble, and YouTube.
Oh, but then they're probably coming over to Rumble, not YouTube.
And it says there's
Yep.
only one person watching on Rumble.
He is
Can you blame
streaming it to X.
Yeah, it's streaming to X.
Yeah, that's what he said now. I mean, I didn't realize it before, but and after he said that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it triple streams.
I wonder how much a prayer rug is.
Oh,
Send it to
God.
Rich for Christmas.
Oh God! You want me to come to Pennsylvania and make you eat it? Or better yet, I could do a video burning it. That seems to be the in thing to do. Burn Muslim stuff.
Well, that doesn't sound like fun. I was going to get you a heartfelt gift, and you're just going to burn it, dick.
Well, you did say a prayer rug. So. You could probably go to Arizona and find one in the desert somewhere. Remember when they were finding those in the desert? And Qurans just left out there in the desert?
No.
Oh, you don't remember that shit?
Nope.
Yeah, this was a few years ago. X is being uncooperative right now.
Sounds about right.
It will not let me bring up my comments for if there are any on the video, on the feed over there. It will not go to it.
I thought they couldn't comment on X.
No, you can.
Oh,
You just can't see
Shut
them
down
in
the
the
time.
Rumble Studio. Yeah, just can't see them on the Rumble Studio
lame.
because it doesn't feed. X doesn't feed into it that much, like YouTube does.
I just
There's something
commented
with that.
over on X. Can you see it?
No, I can't see the comments.
You have to go over to X and look.
I am. I'm on. I got X open right now.
Yes, but do
And
you have the stream open? Because you actually
that's
have
what
to.
I'm saying. It won't open.
Rick is getting all excited.
Yeah, for some reason, it's not letting me go to the actual stream. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. Now it did.
There you go.
Yeah, I had to refresh the page. For some reason, it just did not want to let me open up the stream itself. It was showing the post in my profile, and then when I would go to click on where you usually click to open the stream itself, it would not open it. It was like refusing. It's like, no. Yes, I saw your smart alecky little comment there, Gary.
There's more than one.
Yes, I see that now. It says there's 10 views on X. Whoa. So what else is going on today?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know either.
I only know sports stuff.
What he said.
Surprised G-Webs wasn't out there commenting on the
He
topic
was
we were
earlier.
talking about. He said, I saw him say something, but that was it. He said, is it time
Said
for
something
sports yet?
about, are we done talking about sports so
Yeah,
I
that's
can
all
come
he
in
said.
here or something like that.
Yeah, that's all he said.
Huh, George Cortez is out there.
Hola, mi amigo.
The world is not lost.
What's this? I don't know. We just got done having a serious discussion, so I don't know what it is now.
The NFL just announced Bad Bunny as its Super Bowl halftime show.
That sounds awful.
Maybe him and Damian Priest can have a wrestling match during halftime.
Let's see what else is trending. New York City is trending. Let's see why. Because of the mayor election.
Oh boy.
One of your friends is running for mayor there in New York City.
Against the guy that founded the Guardian Angels and Andrew Cuomo.
Eric Adams drops out of New York City mayoral race.
Yep, the incumbent dropped out. And endorsed Cuomo. Or said he wasn't going to, but then somebody said he endorsed Cuomo. So I don't know if he actually did endorse Cuomo or not. But he initially said he wasn't going to endorse anybody. Now there's a campaign to get the guy who founded the Guardian Angels to drop out of the race and back Cuomo because they're saying Cuomo's the only one that has a chance of beating the Muslim guy, the Muslim communist. the guy that wants to, I can't say federalize, but take over all the stores. What was it? Municipalize, I guess you could say, the grocery stores and buy up all the properties and turn them into homeless shelters and a bunch of other happy horse shit that he was spouting. I mean, I don't know what's worse, a communist, a Muslim, or a communist Muslim. Scary thought there.
Defense Dad wants to know if there's any pizza left. Not on my plate. I ate all mine. But
Oh, you can have mine. It was a friggin' veggie pizza. I'm not a rabbit.
I was going to say, if somebody put pineapple on it, it's not fit to eat anyway. So, yeah, you can have it.
Who the hell ordered veggie pizza?
You tell me, Rich. This is your show.
It wasn't me.
Probably your wife.
Somebody's pranking you.
It's probably your wife. She has a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
She's got other things to do right now. George Cortez wants to know, why do you guys like guns so much? What's not to like?
They make loud noises.
It's an interesting question. I don't know. I grew up with them. They have been ingrained in my life pretty much as far back as I can remember. There's sentimental value to them. Guns in general. I mean, obviously particular ones. But there's excellent memories that are made with loved ones with them. There's the aspect of being able to provide for yourself and your family with one, to defend yourself and your family and country if needed. There's so many reasons.
Yeah, what he said.
I want to hear you articulate that later for your own thoughts, Rich.
Well, you basically covered it. I mean, I've been shooting since I was a little kid. My grandfather got me started. I mean, there's the sentimental thing and all that, and everything you said. I mean, yeah. Defense Dad says, kiddo wanted to talk. She's Christian, conservative, and Republican, and feeling frustrated, feeling she has to hide that at school so she doesn't get bullied. WTF? That's the world we're in now. Yeah, sadly, yes. That's one of the things that Charlie Kirk was trying to combat. That's why he wanted to try and get people to have discussions, so that what your daughter is worried about wouldn't be the status quo that it is.
Well, and this kind of comes back again, where if people did their own thinking, his daughter wouldn't have to worry about things like that. Like you mentioned the Charlie Kirk thing, and the amount of people locally here, just that I know, that we're like, oh, he was a racist and bigot and blah 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 and all this, and I would just say, how? And they'd be like, oh, well, he said things against this group or that group. I'm like, did you ever listen to any of his debates, or did you just hear a side say, oh,
he said this, and they take it out of context, and then they throw a label of, for example, racist on it, and you just went, "Yep, he's racist." And like one of the persons, uh, she is gay. Her, I think, fiance it would be. I think they're engaged. It doesn't matter. Is black. Um, her oldest son, which I don't know if the oldest son is a stepson or if it's just her oldest son. But either way, he's black. And the reason I'm not sure is because her youngest child is white. So I just don't know. Is it two different dads, or like I said, is the oldest a stepchild? I don't know. But I went and was like, look, you're saying he's racist or anti LGBT, or I was like, he openly says like, yeah, I don't agree with your lifestyle, but I value you as a human. Like, I have no problem with you as a human being, and blah blah blah. I was like, likewise, the racist stuff. I go and find things where he was in fierce debate, and I'm like, how can you say that this person was any of those things after seeing these in their entirety? But the problem is, we have a group of people, and it still happens on both sides. But in this case, we're talking about a left-leaning group where they hear something said about somebody by a talking head or the media or whatever, and have a label thrown on them, and they just go, "Yep, that person's X, Y, and Z, the next Hitler, whatever." And again, there's no thinking for themselves. Yeah, I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson a while back, and he was talking about, and it wasn't anything political, but he was just talking about people don't know how to learn. They just want information given to them, and he was actually saying like that is a problem with our education system today. Is we just give knowledge, but we don't teach people how to seek knowledge. And it's not just a matter of like, oh, I'm going to go to college now or something, but to actually sit down and go and find things to either support or disprove their thoughts. Nobody is really shown those things these days.
Yeah, there was when I was younger, more assuredly when Gary was younger. We went to school to learn
On Brontosauruses?
not just the subject matter, but how to think. Now these kids are going to school not to learn, especially not to learn to think, but to memorize, because it's all about these standardized tests anymore. These teachers aren't teaching so much as they're giving kids information and telling them to memorize it, which is what Neil deGrasse Tyson and that what you were talking about was getting at.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what's going on. I mean, the school systems anymore value these standardized tests so much because that's a big part of their funding comes from these kids being able to pass these standardized tests. So that's what they push the teachers into teaching.
Well, I remember when I was in school, the teachers would flat out say, like, hey, you're sophomore this year, or whatever. So you're going to have PSSAs or whatever the hell. So they're like, we're this year you get spoon fed everything to pass that test. They were. I'm not going to say all the teachers, but a lot of the teachers I had were teaching specifically for that test. And I don't say that just like out of speculation. Like they flat out told us, like, oh yeah, this curriculum is being directly aimed and taught for when you take this test this year. And it's just like, okay. Because, I mean, you're in high school. Like, what are you going to do? Like, oh, I don't agree. Like, okay, cool. Like, they're not changing the curriculum that you're SOL anyways. But at the same time, when you're that age, you don't think about it. And I sit here tonight talking so much about having your own thoughts and whatnot, but believe it or not, there was a time where I was not so good at that. I was very much a sheeple, and it wasn't until I learned to not just listen to the little sound bites and headlines and all that, but to actually seek things out and how to find them and look them up. That I was really able to start formulating my own thoughts. Like that's one of the things is if somebody likes to watch Fox, a lot of times they just watch Fox and then they just repeat what Fox said. They don't turn on CNN or MSNBC or anything like that, though. And why might that be pertinent? It's because each of them has their own bias. But when you're listening to all these different media sources, and don't just look at ones in the US, go watch, like the BBC or some, French thing if you can find it in English or, whatever the hell. Look at all sorts of different news outlets. And when you find things in each broadcast on whatever the topic that it is you're looking up, then that's a correlation. Like, okay, that's a fact. They threw in a bunch of other bullshit that doesn't pertain and was their own words and opinion, but Fox, CNN, MSNBC, the BBC, the news source in Germany, and the news source in Italy, whatever the hell. Each of them had this point, this point, this point. Okay, that is probably a fact that I can verify now. We hear people mention confirmation bias, but confirmation bias happens because you hear something, you go, yep, I like what that said, so I'm just going to roll with it. But you don't ever go and try and confirm it against any other sources.
Wood says no one wants to go back to the source material. No. And what's funny, when you go to source material and try and argue with somebody about the source material, they'll tell you that's not what the source material says, and they haven't even read it. It's like, have you read it? No. Well, how do you know that's not what it says? Because that's not what this person told me. How do you know they're telling you the truth if you haven't read it yourself? Well, if they're telling me what it says, why do I have to read it? That's the kind of argument you get with people.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, why am I wasting my time talking to you? You know what I mean?
Don't get me wrong. With my vision being the way it is now, I don't like reading. It chaps my ass. Although, since I discovered ebooks, pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, like, news articles aren't in an ebook. And yes, I could use a screen reader, but anything that I've tried to use a screen reader with, when you activate the screen reader on your smartphone or tablet or anything like that, it changes how everything functions. Like, to I can't even think about exactly what it was, but like, there was one thing where I had to triple tap the screen, and I'm just like, I've got to completely relearn to use this device that I've used for how long. So like, when I do find sources that are like, I'm reading this or something like that, that's cool. I like that. But then I still go and verify it with opposing things. Because at the end of the day, the other thing is too, like, yeah, you can read article from the New York Times, but just because you read it doesn't make it any more poignant than if somebody else had read it and highlighted stuff or something like that. Because at the end of the day, New York Times is going to have its own bias, which again is why it's so important to take in multiple different sources. Look at the New York Times, and go, look at Breitbart, or your local paper, which, realize you got to do a little bit of digging, find out exactly who owns your local paper. Like, the one here in my hometown, it's owned by a company in Chicago. Last I knew, for all I know, it could have changed hands recently, but as of like a decade ago, it was owned by a company in Chicago.
When we lived in Pittsburgh, we used to get the Post-Gazette and the Tribune Review.
Yeah.
Why? One was a left-leaning paper, one was a right-leaning paper.
Well, and here's another thing. Like, you don't even have to read papers and stuff. Like, get a friggin' magazine. Go grab Rolling Stone, because unfortunately, even with Rolling Stone, there's stuff in there that is political. You're not going to escape it. And is it going to have bias and stuff? Sure. But, there might be a couple things in there where you can go, oh, well, this opposing source said this same thing that they said here, and et cetera, et cetera. And again, now you've got data that you can correlate and go, yep, that's most likely a fact. Because the other thing is, if you're looking at articles and headlines and news sources and all that are from the same political ilk, you don't know because if you go, oh, well, CNN said it and MSNBC said it, and whatever other friggin' source said it that you believe is in the same lines as those, then if that's your sources, well, you still have a confirmation bias because you don't know if they all just had the same source.
Which a lot of times, depending on the story, they do because they just pull things off of Reuters or the AP.
It's like going and watching Guns and Gadgets and then watching John Crump and going, oh, multiple sources. No, they got the same friggin' source. Come on.
I'm talking about like the newspapers or.
Well, I'm just
whatnot.
using that as a direct example for the 2A community, where
Oh yeah, I know.
it's like,
But like, yeah, if you look at most newspapers back in the day, most stories, unless it was something local, anything national, that was coming off the AP or the Reuters wire. And
yeah,
if you had 2 or 3 papers in your city, they were all using the same source because they were all getting it from either Reuters or AP.
exactly. And that's why I had said, hey, you need to be like, if you're going to look at your local paper, be aware who owns it. Gary, you're not using a lot of words here, bud.
About what?
Anything?
Oh. What do you want me to talk about?
Uh,
You were doing such a good job.
I know I'm using all the words, but I feel like I could use less words if you use more words. I'm willing to give you a lot of the words of mine, and you can have words also.
But,
Do I
but you
need
gotta
to put
use
them
your
in a
own.
different order or what?
Yes, you have to use your own words.
So I can't use his words.
No,
But
you
he's
have
used
to take you have to take his words, recycle them into your own words.
That's cheating.
That's okay. This isn't school.
It's Cliff Notes.
We're
That's
not going to
cheating.
hit you for plagiarism.
Don't you speak for me.
No, that's what Gary's supposed to be doing.
Oh, speaking for barbecue?
Well, you're taking his words, reiterating them into your own words, so you're speaking on his behalf, kind of, maybe, somehow.
Only so he can rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I got to take a breath sometime.
So he can take a breath and get a drink or something, maybe.
Wood
Let's say
says correlation is not causality. Yes, but absence
Yep.
of evidence is not evidence of absence.
What is this? Quote of the day club here or what?
I don't know.
maybe.
$69 shotgun.
Damn.
Yeah, he told me about that last night. I think it was last night he mentioned it. It's like there's times where I really wish I wasn't boycotting PSA still. Every once in a while, it's tempting, but I'm like, fuck those guys. What?
Yeah.
Defense
Defense Dad says don't pick on Gary Barbecue. He's going to kick your ass next weekend.
I'm not playing pool.
Who said anything about pool?
Ooh.
Whoa.
You know, I should have had my camera out while you guys were playing pool last year. I'll do it this year. But I could have got some sweet ass shots then.
You could have. It's not too far away. What? 5 days?
Yep.
Coming to Nebraska. We're going to take the place over. I don't know what Defense Dad's going to do with all these out-of-staters coming in.
Did anybody get hearing protection for the corn?
Probably ain't going to be no corn by October.
There might not be, but just in case, I just want to make sure that their ears are protected.
Pretty sure it's all cut right now.
Yeah. But corn's all ears. I mean, you got to have
Wow.
protection for 'em.
Really?
Mhm.
Did that one go over your head again, Gary?
I mean, that's what he was getting at the whole time.
Wow. Mr. Bob wants to know, how sweet does an ass have to be before it's considered sweet ass?
I think it can be quite minimal. I mean, as long as it's considered sweet ass, like it meets the qualification. Then doesn't matter how sweet it is.
You don't have to be smart to be a smart ass.
Hear that, Rich? Nope, he's a dumbass.
Huh? What?
Yep.
Of course, what they always told me is everybody likes a little ass, but nobody likes a smart ass.
If that were the case, George Carlin would never had a career.
Wood says, I boycott barbecue ass photography. Wow.
Barbecue what?
Barbecue ass photography. I didn't know you
Are you
did
sure?
that, by the way.
I mean, I've done a couple boudoir shoots, but
Those aren't on your website.
they are not.
You'd get more traffic if they were. Just saying.
I don't think I would. Well, I mean, unless you're just specifically meaning you, then perhaps. But with majority of my work pertaining to high schoolers and elementary and whatnot, I'm like, probably should not put that stuff on the website.
Hopefully you don't do boudoir photography with elementary and high school age girls.
No, I'm not our tech.
Jeez.
Now, undoubtedly, somebody's gonna be out there like, why the fuck did Barbecue take a shot at Artac?
Long story.
I can send you the clip. I screen recorded it. It's still saved.
Oh, man.
It'd be funny if he was out there.
It'd only be funny because he'd probably be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't think he realized he said what he said, to be honest. How it came across. I don't know if he knows.
I don't know, because I specifically questioned him in the chat that night, and Gary read it to him, and he pretty much just doubled down and was like,
Yeah. Well, there goes the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I remember that night.
because he was in his 30s, not old and creepy or whatever. But because the Terran Tactical guy was almost 60, apparently that made it old and creepy. But in your 30s, and the girl being 17, no problem. No.
Well, it wasn't Muhammad Bab either. 'Cause Muhammad was in his, like 53, 54, and Aisha was 9. So, I mean, yeah. Guess we got to set a standard somewhere.
How about we just make sure they're fucking 18?
Even sometimes they lie.
Mm. Well, somebody said you got to start carding them.
And they have fake IDs too.
I know.
That's why I don't even take the chance with anything that remotely says it's anywhere near that age. I'm like, nope. On the dating sites, I've had a couple girls that were like 20 contact me, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to talk to you about?
Yeah. I mean, what porn star was it back in the, what was it, late 70s, early 80s? Was like 14, 15, and they had her, she had convinced people she was over 18.
No idea. Did not ever hear about that.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. But yeah, there was a porn star. She was underage and she convinced all these directors and stuff that she was over 18.
I haven't followed a lot of porn stars, knowingly anyway.
Learned about that in school during
Oh, you studied
psychology
porn
class.
stars in school? Wow.
Well, remember when I told you this before?
I
When
didn't have that class.
No, when we took psychology, one of the subjects was the effects of pornography on Western civilization, and that was one of the subjects was about how this one porn star lied about her age. I just can't remember who the fuck it was now. She was underage, and yeah, all her movies had to be uh, binned, I guess you could say. Once they figured it out.
Let's see. One of the most widely known instances of a pornographic actress lying about her age involved Tracy Lords in the
That's who it was.
1980s.
Yep, that's who it was.
Yeah, no, hard pass. No, it's funny. If you don't watch porn, you don't have to worry about shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't watch porn? No. Like, why the fuck am I going to want to put in a fucking movie, get myself all worked up, or excuse me, we're in the fucking 21st century now. Why am I going to want to fucking look up something on my phone, get my phone an STD, get myself all worked up, have to go do fucking manual labor? Like, all that just, like, why?
But the point I was making with that particular porn star was if a teenager can convince all these porn producers and directors that she's legal age, how does a 20-something-year-old stand a chance of being able to figure it out? Because like Gary was saying, these girls have fake IDs that look just like a regular ID. So how is IDing them going to help?
Well, I've watched a lot of these police videos, where they go and bust kids in these party areas in Florida, spring break and stuff like that. And they've got purses full of fake IDs, and supposedly there's websites you can just go and order them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that hard to get, and supposedly they look fairly good. They're pretty good fakes. Of course, it's also a felony to have a fake ID in most states, so don't do that.
It doesn't stop kids from doing it.
Well, the thing is, you look at things like bongs, things like that. Technically, it's considered paraphernalia. It's illegal. But how many cigarette outlets, things like that, sell them? And
You can buy them in my vape shop.
yeah, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them or anything like that. I'm just saying, just because it can be bought doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be 100% legal. Like, it could get you hemmed up at some point.
Yeah. Again, it depends on what state, because here in West Virginia, they're completely legal now. Used to be illegal. Now it's completely legal.
Well, like with bongs and stuff, their workaround was like, oh, it's a tobacco pipe.
Mm-hmm. Well, and now they don't even have. Yeah, my point is they don't even have to make that excuse anymore. Yeah, it was legalized in this state. So unless the feds are coming in.
But do the feds actually worry about them and be like, hey, that's paraphernalia?
I think the DEA's probably got bigger fish to fry.
Exactly.
No, but if a police officer on a traffic stop sees such things in your vehicle, that's probable cause for a search.
Yep. So the night, actually, this is shortly before I lost my vision. My cousin's getting married. It's his bachelor party. So after we have the stuff at the bar and whatnot, he wanted to go to the titty bar. Only time I've ever been to a strip club. And again, I'm like, what the fuck is so great about this? Again, why go get yourself all worked up to be like, oh, go home and do manual labor? Like, it makes no sense. So, anyways, my other cousin, his brother that planned everything, had met up with a couple friends at the strip club. So I was already the designated driver anyways, but so he's like, just take my car and park it back at the bar and I'll get it in the morning. I was like, all right, cool. So my cousin who's getting married was like, hey, we should probably put some gas in this before we go park it at the bar. I was like, it's your brother's fucking car. He kind of fucked up your entire bachelor party anyways. He's like, just stop at the gas station. I was like, all right, cool. So he goes in to get a gas card, and for some reason I felt the need to open the center console area. And right when I do, I was like, oh, there's a fucking bong here. So I quickly close it because directly next to me on the other side of the pump were two city police officers. I was like, fuck.
That's a great place to store that.
Oh, especially when I didn't know or anything, and I'm the one in control of the vehicle. Who's going to get fucking popped for it?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, motherfucker. Then my other cousin comes back out, and before we leave, I told him, he's like, oh yeah, don't open anything in Fred's car. I was like, yeah, fucking figure that out.
Yep. Denny's heading out, so have a night.
See you, Denny.
Yeah, my motor's starting to wind down. I still haven't had much sleep. I think I got 2 hours sleep after I logged off with you guys last night after Foss's show.
Yep.
Yeah, I just have not been able to sleep. Fucking insomnia sucks.
You probably don't want to know that I slept until 12:15 today. Mm-hmm. And then took a nap around 4.
I slept until, I think it was about 10:30 or 11. We got like 4 hours sleep. And at some point I had another nap. But that was after I went and did a bunch of shit outside.
Let's see. I think I got to sleep around 6 or 6-ish. So I got 6 hours sleep, then got another couple later on. So I'm good. You should. Well, I was gonna say Rich should get a cat, but if that was the case, he'd be sleeping all the time. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you allow the cats in the bed?
No.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yep.
She won't let any
Nothing
of the
better.
cats in the bedroom.
There's nothing better for a nap than a cat. Let me tell you.
She won't let any of the cats in the bedroom. Only the dog.
Oh, that's kind of speciest.
I know. She's racist as fuck.
Kind of.
Yeah.
All of Rich's cats are Muslim.
Mine isn't. But
Meows
I said all
like,
of Rich's.
No, they're Meowslim.
Nice.
God. On that note,
I feel like it's probably time to end on that.
I think so.
Uh-huh. That's the high point of the show right there. I tell you
I
what.
Rich is making puns. You're welcome, folks.
The cats
So all
are
you
gonna
people out there that are cat lovers, make sure and send your hate mail to unloadedmedia@gmail.com.
Yes.
Or
wake up tomorrow
shooting
and the
left
cat
of
doesn't have
center at gmail.com will also work. By the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be the preferred one.
Or hillbillyup@gmail.com.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
American.
I don't-
Hillbilly, yeah.
Oh, see?
They get
Gary's
the
just
right
out there
address.
giving out real emails and say, I didn't know what the hell the email was.
Gary's
I was
doxing
being a smart
emails.
ass.
I'm gonna get hate mail.
Mhm.
It was a joke. Don't do it.
You're getting a phone call.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. Why are you giving my email out?
Well, he gives it out. It's not. It's a
I
secret.
know.
Yep.
It's
I
not
need to
like
figure
your
out how
secret
to.
email address. I could give that up, Rich. When it starts with a K.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I never understood why you spelled chickswithdicks@gmail.com with a K. Because it just looks like kicks with dicks. And I was like, it doesn't work, Rich. He's like, no, you pronounce the K like a C. I was like, okay. It's very progressive of you.
Is that the way they pronounce it in Kazakhstan or whatever?
That'll be Afghanistan.
Ah. It's getting worse.
He was really quick with that one, though. That was fucking good.
I know. Show's just getting good. Now it's time to end the thing. That and I went and got my lunch off a food truck today. So
Meals on Wheels.
no, friend of mine has a food truck, and he was set up at one of the local businesses in the parking lot. He's got some killer. He got this ground beef custom ground. He calls it brisket burger, but it's got big old chunks of fat in it. It is really good burger. Oh my god!
Nice.
That and he makes homemade onion ring.
Yeah,
I
Brisket
hadn't-
burger, hell of a burger.
I hadn't eaten from him and to heck with healthy. It's Sunday, and I was wanting something special. So
yeah. If you want a good burger, you got to have fatty ground beef.
that's right.
Now, maybe for like spaghetti and meatballs or something, you want a leaner one so that your sauce doesn't get all greasy and runny. But for a burger, you want that fatty, greasy meat. The fried.
If you're gonna
Don't worry.
spend the money for a good burger and fries or burger and onion rings, make it a special one. Don't go to some fast food joint where they're going to give you a frozen meat patty or something like that. Go somewhere where somebody actually knows how to make a good hamburger.
Or if you got one in your area and you still want to go fast food, steak and shake.
Shake and bake.
No, yeah, that's what I almost said. I got super tongue twisted. Steak and Shake. That's where you want. They got some really good burgers. They make them right there. You watch them make the patty and everything.
But if you have an old high school friend that's retired and bought a old FedEx van and runs a food truck out of it on the weekends,
That was oddly specific.
Mm-hmm.
and well, it just happens to be what this is. It's a guy I've known all my life, but he does a food truck now, and he's got good food, but he's only open like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday usually. So you got to catch him when he's available. So I wish he'd open up a brick and mortar place somewhere. But
The one place I told you about, Fat Bottom Grill here in town, they started as a food truck and then got a brick and mortar place. once they raise,
It's a
saved
really
up
good.
money to do it.
It's a really good way to build a customer base
Yeah.
before you just go brick and mortar. 'Cause that is,
Yeah. Build up a clientele. Yeah.
yep. And then they know how the stuff is, things like that. You had time to go, oh, okay, this didn't work. Because if you make something bad, that sticks with people, and a lot of times they're not gonna come back, or they're like, oh, this was awful, or I got dysentery, or whatever the fuck, and they're gone. But if you can build up that loyal customer, even if there's a time where they have something where they're like, this wasn't quite to my liking or something, well, you've already got them. They're just going to try something different next time.
Yep. And on that note, you got anything you want to plug or anything, Gary?
I got a show tomorrow night. Should be around 9:00 p.m. Central Time. So I'd love to have everybody there. So thanks for having me.
Yep. Bet you barbecue.
I would like to remind everybody to go over to DM Foss's channel, click wherever you find the links, and he has a link to a swag store. I like to mention this because just the reaction. It's a very guttural reaction that it gets every time that I plug his merch because Foss doesn't want to be beholden to anything, and well, if you guys start making him rich with his swag, he has to be beholden then. So, you should go make him rich on all of his swag. Every Second Matters is fast approaching. That will be on this coming Thursday. I will not be doing a show that day, most likely. I'm trying to think of another channel to plug. I plugged Kingpin last night and told people to go bully Midnight Range into doing content again. Oh, you know what? Go check out Squiblo's channel. It's for everybody. And you know what? We had New York Outcast out there. Go check out his channel too. There we go. That's all I've got.
Well, I want to thank both of you for being on the panel tonight. Had an interesting discussion to start the show. Gary giving us the sports scores. And then we got into a important topic.
And I put a nice link out there in the chat too for everybody to check out after they're done. So
is that Foss?
You're a swell guy.
So yeah, we had a good show. Damn good show. Oops, I'm gonna get hit for copyright on that one, aren't I?
probably.
No.
No.
Plagiarism.
Maybe. Imitation is the sincerest form of my flattery, though, right? Is that what they said?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, on that note, we will bid you all adieu for this week. Thank you all for viewing, and we will catch you later.
Give him the bird.
Shall not be infringed. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Listen up, brother. I just came here to say one thing. The Unloaded Media channel is having a 500 subscriber giveaway. Once he hits 500 subscribers, there's going to be a Smoky Mountain Knife Force swag bag given away and other prizes. For more information, check the details down in the description.
Play it on my end.
Oh.